Good evening, guys. What is up? I know I don't do videos like this much anymore. This video wasn't even like planned or anything, but I have. I gotta be careful. I have my raspberry pomegranate tea that is still too hot to drink. It's still steaming, but it smells absolutely incredible. So you already know that means I have something to talk to you guys about. So, I recently have been working on a computer building video, and I finished editing it last night, and I'm currently rewatching it to make sure everything's good and it's ready to upload. But as I've been watching it, I've been starting to think that when I built my computer last year, I was really not the smartest person when I was picking the parts for it. Really not like I thought I was at the time. I thought I was being smart with everything, but I wasn't. For example, this was my monitor. Sorry, no, not my monitor. Sorry, it's late at night. This was my motherboard. It's a Gigabyte Aorus Z690 Ultra. I do not need this motherboard. This is way overkill for me. And you know what stupid me did when I was building my computer at some point, a while ago? Not last year, but do you know what I did to this thing? I broke it. I tried to put the socket cover, I'll show you guys, hold on. I tried to put this socket cover back on, and I wasn't putting it on correctly, and I was stuffing it into the pins like a jackass. Like someone that didn't know what he was doing, and I didn't. I really should have watched a YouTube tutorial on how to do it before I was you know what? Let's try to single-handedly just I know what I'm doing. No, I really didn't. And I feel terrible. You guys are probably cringing at me right now, because sure, I bought this when it was $200 something, and now it's $300 something, but I really did not need this, and I butchered a really high-end motherboard. Anyway, my point is, I did not need that, and I did not need this, or this, or this. I did not need this thing, this 3070 Ti. I did not need that. I got it because I was oh wow, it has a screen on it. Holy fuck, that's the hot shit. No, I did not need that. So I'm done, I don't know, I was going to say I'm done ranting about my mistakes, but I want to talk to you guys about something. If you guys are a broke college student like me, and you guys want to build your first gaming computer, and you're a YouTuber like I am, and you want to edit your videos and stuff, I want to show you guys how you can pick parts, I want to show you guys how you can be smarter when you're picking your parts and not be like me. So I don't have parts to I'm not going to build a whole other computer. I don't have the parts, but what I did was I made a part list, as an example for what you guys it's for a PC that's it'll be awesome for gaming, awesome for video editing, awesome for everything. It will not be as performing as this, technically, but it will still be super, super good for what you guys need. So I have tabs pulled up, so I'm going to show you guys what I mean right now. Okay, so this right here is the part list of the PC I have right now, and I'm going to walk you through each part that I picked And then right up here is the part list that I made that is a much smarter option for broke gamer YouTubers like me. Like if you want like a system that performs just as well, but like it's about like a $1,200 system. So I know that's a bit like high up there, but if you want like performance, like a lot of performance out of it, but not spend like $2,000, $3,000, then that's what I'm going to show you guys. So I'm going to be ranting a lot, so if you want, you can put this in the background, or if you guys are just using this for background stuff, or if you want to listen, then you can listen to me geek out. But first, we're going to start with the CPU. So what I have is an i7-12700F, and it's a 12-core, 20-thread processor. So it's really, like when I bought it, I originally thought, well, it's not a 12700K. It's really, really powerful. This is good. But I'm going to show you guys what I have in the other part list. I have the i5-12600K. So this processor is overclockable, and I only picked it because the i5-12400F, which is the F variant, is only 6 cores and 12 threads, but this is 10 cores, and I don't know how many threads it has, maybe like 16 or 18, maybe 20, I have no idea. But this is obviously like just a little bit less performing than the 12700F. Like look at this, gaming 109, 109. Like for gaming, it's the exact same thing. Desktop 109, 111. It's a bit better for desktop, but workstation 118, 111. So if you guys are video editing and you want like a really high workstation intensive CPU, and you're going to look at 118 and 111 and be like, oh, well, the i7-12700F is better. But, I mean, even if it's like 7% less, I mean, come on, it's still 111. It's still super, super, super good. So, plus, if you're looking at the 12700F right now is $374, and the 12600K, $294. So that's like an $80 difference right there. So that's why the i5-12600K would be just a smarter decision, even if it's just like a tiny little bit less performing than its i7 counterpart. Well, yeah. So I should have picked this when I was picking my parts. I was not being a very smart, broke college student consumer, you know. So next up, the CPU cooler. Now this was just unnecessary. I actually bought this when it was over $300. That was not a good decision. I bought it because I picked my main parts out, the motherboard, the graphics card, and I was like, you know what? This shit has a screen on it. Slap it. I'm sold. I'm buying it. No, don't do that. I'm going to show you guys in the computer building video, but my screen doesn't even work. It doesn't even work. It has like a warning symbol on it, and I don't know how to fix it. I tried literally everything. I've been through an entire thing with Corsair, but long story short, it just doesn't fucking work. So you do not need this. You don't even need, for like even for a 12700F, you don't need an AIO. You can get an air cooler like this one. This one, it has 2 fans on it. The Thermal Right Peerless Assassin. This one's the Corsair IQ H100i Elite LCD, you know. But the Thermal Right Peerless Assassin, this, if I was to build another computer, probably this one, this is what I would pick. For $47, it is extremely performing. It's like basically a Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro 4. It's giant. It's got 2 fans. It's going to cool the shit out of your CPU. For $47, like that is like a super killer price for this thing. So that is why I would obviously choose this for a next build. Next up. So really this was just, I don't even know, this was just a terrible decision altogether. Do not buy an LCD screen AIO or an AIO at all if you're building a computer and you're a broke college student like me. Okay, so the motherboard, again, terrible decision because I broke that shit. And I feel terrible because now it's $300 fucking. I'm gonna be cursing a lot. I'm so sorry. My brain's like, well, the more you curse, the more entertaining the video is. I don't even have to curse. I don't even know why I'm doing this. So, this motherboard, it's a super high-end motherboard for an enthusiast. I do not need this. Okay, it has Z690, that's an overclocking motherboard. This CPU, you can't even overclock it. It's an F SKU. A K SKU, you can overclock it. But I don't even know how to overclock, and I don't even want to mess with that shit. So, the motherboard I picked is the ASRock B660M Pro RS. Another thing, and that's going to have to do with the RAM, this motherboard supports DDR4, while this motherboard supports DDR5 RAM. DDR5 RAM is a lot faster, but you don't even need it. Like, DDR4 RAM is still fast. Like, for a broke college student, that's plenty for you. And this motherboard has, like, pretty much everything you might need. Like, it has 4 DIMM slots, so if you have 2 sticks of RAM and you want to upgrade, then boom, you have 2 extra DIMM slots. And it's not power intensive at all. It only has an 8-pin power connector. And the I/O, I mean, the I/O is alright. There's 6 USBs, there's a HDMI and a display port in case your graphics card fails and you have to rely on integrated graphics for a bit. And while there isn't Wi-Fi, I want to show you another part that I picked after all of this. I picked the EDUP EP9651802, whatever the fuck. Okay, it's a Wi-Fi, a wireless Wi-Fi adapter, and it also has Bluetooth, and it's Wi-Fi 6. So that's like the fastest Wi-Fi, whatever. I'm not really familiar with Wi-Fi adapters, but basically you just plug it into your motherboard like you would a graphics card, and it works. You attach these things, and if your motherboard doesn't come with Wi-Fi, then you could just pick one of these up for $43. I mean, if you want Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 5 or 4, which is slower but it'll still give you a Wi-Fi connection, you can, and it's cheaper. I just thought, like, I like having really fast Wi-Fi for what I do. So I was like, you know what, Wi-Fi 6, this was the cheapest one I could find. Boom. Which was, yeah, that's how you should be. This is the cheapest one I could find. Maybe it doesn't look the best, but boom. You're a broke college student. You don't have time for looks. You don't have the budget for looks. So, Wi-Fi, motherboard, you got your CPU, your cooler, your motherboard all picked out. $130 for this thing, which is pretty good. Actually, no, $105. There's a discount. Didn't even realize. $105 versus a $331. That's a over $200 difference right there. Like, it's obviously just a smarter decision. And for the RAM, I already talked about this a little bit. Both of these kits of RAM are 32 gigs, which is like, you do not need any more than 32 gigs. And for what I'm doing, I like having 32 gigs. And this is running at DDR5 at 5600 megahertz, which is very, very fast, but you do not need that. This RAM is running at DDR4 3200 megahertz, which is like perfect for Intel processors that are running on a DDR4, off of DDR4, and that's perfectly fine, perfectly fast for what you need. And they're both 32 gigs. If you want to upgrade to 64 gigs, like I said, there you go. You have 4 DIMM slots. Moving on to the storage. I mean, the storage was like, I have a SN850X, which is like, it's a PCIe 4.0. It's an M.2 SSD, and it's 1 TB. And I mean, it's the price. It went down. It's all right, but you can do better than that. This is like basically the MSI Spatium, whatever. It's still a PCIe 4.0 thing. It's nowhere near like this. Probably runs at like, I really have no fucking clue. It doesn't even say. But it doesn't run as fast as the Western Digital SN850X, but it's still blazing fast. It's an M.2 SSD and it's PCIe 4.0. It's still going to be really fast. And it's like $30, $40 fucking dollars less. Like, that is obviously the smarter choice. And I feel like if you might be feeling like once you go from 7,000 mega transfers per second and then you go down to like 6,500, 5,000, like you're going to notice a difference. But when you're a broke college student, it doesn't matter. You don't have the budget for faster speeds. It's perfectly fine for what you need. And I didn't put it on here. I didn't put a hard drive on here because I already have one. But if you slap a 2 terabyte hard drive, 4 terabyte, that's like $60, $80 for a lot of storage. You're pretty much set. And I have one, like I have a Seagate Barracuda 2 terabyte hard drive. The price went up from when I bought it, but I mean, still, if you want more storage, hard drives, the way to go, basically, for your games, your pictures, your videos, anything. So I think we got storage covered. Moving on to the graphics card. I have a Gigabyte Aorus Master RTX 3070 Ti. Again, that was a bad decision. It has 8 gigabytes of VRAM. And even though back then the RTX 40 series GPUs didn't come out, but this is the RTX 4060. It has a little bit less performance than the 3070 Ti, but it's still a really performing graphics card. I mean, my RTX 2060 that I had before, that was a really performing graphics card for what I'm doing anyways. It has 8 gigs of VRAM, just like the 3070 Ti, and it's, look at this, $388 versus $1,600. What the fuck? I bought this when it was $800, but still, that's like, it's so much cheaper. And guys, I live in Canada. This is Canadian money. So in the US, it's even cheaper than that, I think. I have no idea. But basically, if you just want to play games at 1080p on high ultra settings, whatever, a 4060 or even a 3060, maybe if you want to go a gen older, it's still plenty capable. Like, I could play games on high settings or ultra settings on my 2060 and it was perfectly fine. It ran at like 90, 100, sometimes 120 frames per second. You don't need a 3070 Ti with a LCD screen and it's pretty thick. Like a 4060, the 4060 is like thinner. It's nowhere near as flashy, but then again, you don't have the budget for flashy things. And for the case, I mean, it's all up to you, the case. But the case I have is the Corsair 4000D Airflow, $120 for that price. It's a really good case, but my problem, like personally for me, it's too big. I want something small. This is a Deepcool Matrix 40, $76, and it's a micro ATX mini case. So instead of being a mid ATX case like this, it's maybe like that. It's a lot smaller, it's a lot more convenient, and you can place it like basically wherever you want. And look at this thing. You got airflow, you have support for big GPUs, a 240 milliliter AIO, 3 120 inch fans at the front, I think, or two, but basically a lot of airflow, a really good tempered glass side panel. I mean, it's a really good case for $76. So you really do not need anything fancy. I know I'm tripping over my words a lot, but I'm ranting. I want to get this out of the way. So we got the case covered. You do not need anything fancy for a case. It's just a box that keeps all of your things in there. If you want a tempered glass side panel, airflow, those are all things you have to look for, but you can look for all of those things at a reasonable price, like this. Don't be like me. I mean, the Corsair 4000D airflow, it's not bad, but you can definitely do better. That's my point. And finally, the power supply. I had a Corsair RM850X, so it's an 850 watt, 80 plus gold certified fully modular power supply, and it's $160 right now. And for this build, you need a really high wattage, so this is a pretty good power supply for what you're working with. But since we do not need any of this bullshit, you can do a lot better. This part list only needs 384 watts, and this is the MSI MPG A650GF. It's a 650 watt power supply. It's still overkill for what you need, and there are definitely cheaper power supplies out there, but once you picked all your parts, you can basically decide if you want a fully modular power supply or 80 plus whatever. I wanted an 80 plus gold rated power supply because it's more power efficient, and I personally wanted fully modular cables, so cable management is a lot easier. That's just my personal choice. So $110, there's definitely cheaper if you want just the cheapest of the cheap, but this is just what I wanted. But now that we have a really solid, cheap, but really well-performing part list, you can decide, you can tweak it a little bit to what you want. If you want a bit more lighting, a bit more RGB, you can pick a really cheap, a really inexpensive CPU cooler with RGB fans. I didn't want RGB because I don't want RGB in a computer anymore, like I did before, but not really anymore, because when I have RGB, I feel like I have to show it off. But I want the freedom to put it wherever I want. And if you want a non-modular power supply where all the cables are just bunched together, that's perfectly fine. I mean, cable management might be a little bit harder, but if you're broke, then that's what you have to deal with. I just wanted fully modular cables because it'll just make cable management easier. But yeah, I didn't even show you guys the comparison between the graphics cards, but I already pretty much talked about that. The RTX 3070 Ti, it's 30% more performing, but take my word for it, my 2060 was really well performing. You're going to be fine with a 4060, guys. And it has the exact same amount of VRAM. I think the 4060 has GDDR6X, I think. No, it has GDDR6. The 3070 Ti is GDDR6X, but really, it doesn't really matter. It's still a really well-performing graphics card. My 2060 had GDDR6, and it was perfectly fine. You're going to be okay with a 4060, trust me. So that's pretty much it. You guys I'll link this part list in the description if you guys want to use it. If you end up building this computer, please tag me. I would love to see your video. But overall, and to conclude, please be smarter when you pick your parts. Don't be like me. Do not compulsively spend money for shit that you don't need. Okay, if you're a broke college student that you have a limited budget and you want a really well-performing PC for playing games, ultra high settings, and have really good frame rates, and you're video editing, you're doing 3D animation or whatever, this is literally perfect for you. $1,200, you can definitely go cheaper than that, but if you want a really, really well-performing system, this system right here is for you. And you can definitely pick a an AMD graphics card. You can pick a $388. It'll be a bit more expensive if you go for a really, really well-performing one, but I know that AMD graphics cards tend to offer more performance for less cash. But overall, this is my part list for you. If you want a really, really well-performing system that you can do basically everything with, and you're a broke college student, this is the perfect one for you. You can definitely go cheaper, but this is what I picked out. Anyway, yeah, I should have done the outro here, but thank you guys for listening. It really means a lot. I really had to get this, like, off my chest. Like, honestly, you guys don't even have to listen to me. Picking your PC parts, it's all up to you, but I really want you guys to be smart with your money and to not compulsively spend like I did. Do not be like me. And to resume, if you want a really well-performing gaming system, if you want the parts list for that, I have it in the I'll have it in the description. You can tweak it any way you want for more RGB or to make it cheaper even. But I'll have it in the description. It'll be a really good example if you're just starting out. And if you guys want to learn how to actually build a computer, and if you want just the full experience on how to build one, you can watch the video after this. I'm going to upload it maybe tomorrow or the next day, I hope. But basically, yeah, if you guys love these videos and you want to see more part lists videos or more computer building videos or tips on how to build computers, leave a comment down below. I love reading your comments, and I love I would love to make content that you guys would enjoy watching. So thank you guys so much for watching, and have an amazing evening. I think my tea cooled down enough. Oh fuck yeah, that's the shit right there.